This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I have a true entrepreneur, someone who has truly been self-made, Angelo Christian from Angelo Christian Financial. You know, I love having people on that not everybody may have heard of.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, in my top 5 podcasts, 3 of them are people that nobody knows of, and it's because of the life that they've led is more aligned with what other people are dealing with. And you have an extraordinary story, Angelo, because when at a very young age you were overweight, which is a huge problem in America. But it actually, being overweight caused you to have a heart attack at 18, and you almost died.
Yep,
at a very, very young age. Number one, why do you think you gained weight? Because I really want to get to an issue of discipline, control, and habits. What caused you to gain all that weight up into that point?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you, Dave. Obviously, I want to say I'm very grateful for you having me on the show today, and you're going right into it. That's good. So,
yeah, man, I don't waste time.
Yeah, that's good. So, it was more attributed to the environment. My father was a restaurateur. Everything was about food. Everyone on his side of the family had diabetes, dialysis.
Wow.
So there was no management or control of what we ate. We'd eat at 11 o'clock at night and go to bed, get up, go to school.
Was there an emotional attachment to food as well?
Yeah.
Because I have an emotional attachment to money, and I had to learn that relationship with money, which we'll get into. How you probably equated that over being someone that's the expert in the financial side. There's this energy, emotion, or feelings. What was your key emotional trigger? What was that relationship like with you and food beyond just the building of a habit?
Well, I think that the way when I grew up when I was a little child, my father used to force feed me when I was a kid. In his culture, I'm half Persian, half Iranian, half American. So in the Middle East, eating is a huge thing. And so I think that habit that I created of overeating at every single meal, so it was systemic for the long term from when I was a child. Ever since I was a baby, I was overweight, and it just carried with me. So when things would happen in my life, where we had issues at school, because I got abused big time at school, picked on, beat up, I would eat my feelings because I would feel like crap, and then I want to go eat. And it was kind of a self epidemic, right?
Perpetuating problem.
Yeah. So, it got so bad that I had to drop out of school in the 6th grade because I was getting beat up. I was being bullied by the teachers, the kids. They would take my gym clothes and they would crap on them, they'd pee on them, and then make me wear them, and they used to beat me up, and the coach would participate in it,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it just got really, really out of control, and I got very fearful and timid, and I was very introverted. So I told my mom in the 6th grade, I'm just going to drop out, and I quit school. So the fact that I'm here sitting on your show today is kind of
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I'm going to get to a critical question I have, but I think it's important to take a little side note here. We're a little bit older, right? Especially what we do with social media, a little bit older. And there was a different genre, you talk about, and the coach participated. Now, there's some 19-year-olds and 15-year-olds that are going to listen to this and go, how could that be possible? Oh, my God, if a coach even yells at me, he's going to get in trouble. And I think it's important for everyone to know that, things evolve, and they got better for a reason because we don't put up with that anymore. But we don't want to go to the other side where you're not appreciating the fact that people like you and I grew up under those circumstances, and they were fairly socially acceptable, right? There wasn't huge lawsuits created because, and there would be today.
Yeah.
But this is an evolution. So when we're judging people, know that they come from these circumstances that are not even fathomable today.
Right.
And moving towards that, it's funny with relationship with food, because my biggest issue was scarcity, is that with 6 kids and a single mom and not enough to eat all the time.
Yeah.
She'd put 2 large French fries in a bowl. That was our McDonald's experience. I learned to eat fast.
Right.
Right. And so eating fast caused you to overeat,
right,
because the stomach doesn't register in
right,
the head.
Right.
And so I'm 52 years old. I take timeouts in my meals.
Right.
Most people won't notice, but I just had to scarf down my lunch. But at dinner time, when I'm most hungry,
right,
I take a timeout.
Right. I agree,
because
yeah.
it's just habitual of eating fast. I have to take that time out, let everything settle. And so many times I'm halfway through my dinner and I'm full now. And it's made a huge difference with portion control. Now, emotionally though, what I found fascinating in the self-help world is that because I'm dealing so often with people that sell their content, right? And I'm someone that gives my content for free. I don't feel comfortable selling content, on the stages, et cetera. And I had Dean Graziosi, who's kind of in your space, right? Dean and Tony. And Tony was your big guru, saved your life, right? Yeah. And he told me, I said, dude, I can't sell off stage. He goes, Dave, you can make a fortune, man. You can sell your books, you can sell this, your courses, all these things off of the stage. I said, yeah, but don't you feel like, you're not giving, the people that are successful with what you do would have been successful anyway. And this is where he changed my perspective. He said, no. He said, who have you bought stuff from? I said, well, number one, Tony Robbins. He said, and did you get value more than you paid? I'm like, oh yeah. Guy changed my life. Tony Robbins, I had the cassette tapes. Changed my life. Yeah. And then I said Wayne Dyer. I bought everything from Wayne Dyer. He said, and how'd that turn out for you? Was it a good investment or a bad investment? Oh, best investment I ever had. He said, so do you believe that your content, is as valuable? I said, well, maybe not like Tony or Wayne, but pretty good. He said, if you believe that, why won't you stay on stage and try to help people and allow them to have the opportunity like you were allowed to have an opportunity to share that? Can somebody like Tony Robbins, and I know, that content that he gave you, can that content truly change your life? Or do you think that you were ready and it just could have been anything that planted or watered that seed? Or is it particular to what and how Tony explained it to you?
I believe that when the student is ready, the teacher is going to appear, right? And so it depends on where the juncture that you are in your life. And so for me, I was at rock bottom, and I didn't have, my father abandoned us with my 5 brothers and sisters, and we were living homeless. I don't know if you know the rest of my story. So yeah. So I needed to look up to something. I needed to grab something as a reference. And, Tony Robbins was there, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, some of the people that I really looked up to at that time. And that was kind of like my guide. And so I think that if you're not in the situation or position of receivership, it's not going to penetrate through the emotional, the threshold. So, and then get into the mind, the subconscious, right? So for me, I needed that. And it was kind of like my father, my coach, my mentor, to kind of show me that you can change. Your past isn't your future. We don't live in a rearview mirror. Yeah. Right. And so that's the whole thing with Tony Robbins is change, transformation. Right. So that's a huge part of my company, and our mission with our company is to help people, particularly real estate investors, to grow their equity. Right. And so that's a huge thing what we do right now.
And I'm a huge real estate person, right? Okay. I believe that when I went to law school, I realized one thing, that all the laws in our country were made to protect the landowner. And I'm always looking for some sort of economic advantage. Yeah. And it held with me in law school that, wow, this is really interesting. Like tax-wise, marriage-wise, estate planning, all of these things, to own real estate is so beneficial. And in looking at all of that. Now, coming from my mentorship side of things, I always have, in this situation, someone come in, do you have any questions for me that may in particular represent somewhere that you want to go in your career?
Yeah, I do actually. I was kind of curious to know, for your brand, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? How are you positioning yourself today to get to that point in the next decade?
Yeah, so I'm on a 20-year plan. So 3 years ago, Super Bowl, Gary Vee was gracious enough to mentor me in this space, in this social media branding, personal branding space. And I told him that I have a different perspective. He said, well, it's going to take you 2 to 6 years to truly build popularity in a brand. Are you committed to that economically, time-wise? Because you need, number one, quality content first. And that's why I'm going to work with you. He said, I truly believe your lessons are high vibrational lessons. And 2, you need to be consistent, but that's a dedicated economic and time resource that you're going to have to do for 2 to 6 years. Are you willing to do that? I said, I actually have a different plan. And he said, what's that? I said, I'm on a 20-year plan. So I'm 3 years into my 20-year plan. And my goal, and still is, every year, I only need 2 people to be like you are to Tony Robbins. I need 2 ambassadors, 2 people that are ready to receive and also have it impact my message or information or content, impact them enough to go ahead and impact others. And every year, if I can find 2 people to impact another 2 people, that the numbers get extraordinary on a 20-year plan, right? Yeah. Right, 64 in 5 years, 2010, 64,000 in 15, and over 2 million when I'm 70 years old. And I thought, man, what an impact I could have on the world with 2 million people telling 2 million people about gratitude and forgiveness and accountability. So my whole basis is based on that progression, exponential growth and acceleration. And I've been blessed to be faster than that. But moreover, too, I found that there's 3 things to focus in on. And I can teach anyone, a financial guy from real estate to, I have a sleep doctor that I do this for. And here's the 3 things that I help people with. Number 1, the strength of your signal. Just like you were able to change, to transform your entire life, there is a strength of your message. There is a vibration or a frequency to that message. And it only comes from your desire to be what you can be. You must be what you can be. And when you talk about it, you're believing and you're perceiving and you're generating a signal that is so strong in your conviction and desire that it hits other people. Right? It's closest to the highest truth of yours. You truly believe what you're saying. And that's why people that are either sociopaths, like great salesmen that oversell, back end sell, manipulate, and lie, which there's some in your industry and every industry, not to pick on yours. Yeah. They can talk about lawyers, insurance brokers, everybody. Yeah. I was one in my past, right? But there's 2 kinds of people that can have a strong signal: a bullshitter and a truth. Right? Those are the 2 people and so I either teach you to be one or the other. I'm okay. Look, I'm a branding person. If you cannot live in the truth, I've lived that side, and you want to, stand in front of cars you don't own and houses that you don't own, and sit there and sell BS. I can tell you're going to need a strong signal and conviction in what you're talking about. It's not going to last the way that the person that speaks the truth is. Right. Second thing, most importantly and easiest to deal with, and most confusing for everybody trying to start to build their own brand, is the biggest mistake people make is they try to create a brand for everyone. They don't realize who's really successful on the internet. 4.2 billion people on the internet. You know who's really successful is that lady that shows you how to do her nails. The person who, shows you how to open toys, right? Because out of 4.2 billion, you don't need them all. Right. A couple million people want to learn how to do toys every day or to fix an outlet, and you're the expert, the handyman on the internet. That's your spectrum. Right. Stick to your spectrum, right? People try to be everything to everyone. And that's a big mistake. And it's so easy to, 1, speak with conviction and understanding, but 2, to know your spectrum. I agree with that. And then 3 takes practice and it's consistency. And that's be clear on what you're saying. And so that's why, I give everyone my text number, 949-298-2905. And I say, text me the most impactful thing that I'm saying. And the reason is that it's not what I say, it's what they hear. And so when people are texting me, oh man, I love that, be more interested and interesting because, well, that's not what I meant, but oh, that's really interesting for me, right? I'm thinking I'm trying to say one thing and people hear another. Right. And so the strength of your signal, the conviction to be what you must be, the spectrum of who you're trying to reach, and then the clarity of your message, especially you're in real estate finance. Yeah. There's so many things that are misunderstood or misheard, and I've been on the customer side more on the development side I've been on, but it's the guys who, like Ryan Serhant, what I loved about him is in the real estate game, he gets this, right? He gets that clarity of message. What he says when he says it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's the way the interest rate. I understand how that would work. There's no, overselling or fudging or misunderstanding. There's a pure analogous situation or example that says, okay, when this is the fixed rate, not variable rate, because so many times you can make these big decisions based off of what people are trying to teach you, and you're like, oh, I didn't know he was talking about fixed rates. Yeah, no, that could change the whole ballgame, right?
Right. No, you're right. You have to really put yourself in the customer's perspective, understand where they're sitting, and a lot of times people that are really high up, they forget about that person doesn't know the difference between a LIBOR and a fixed rate or an adjustable rate, a prepayment penalty, and you have to explain it to them so that way they understand it, so they can make the best, most informed decision. So I agree with you completely. Actually, how I found you was by I followed Tillman Fertitta. He's from Houston. Yeah, and I saw.
He wrote the foreword for my book, Game Time Decision Making. It was a blessing. He's awesome.
Yeah, so he's my hero, my role model, one of the people I look up to from the same city that I'm in. And I found you through the interview that you did with him, and I was so blown away with your persona, the way you made everyone feel. on that show, and I started following you ever since. I think you did that in April in 2019
Yeah.
when you released it. So, and I've been, watching you ever since. So I really, really love your content, and I think that you master that very well. You're very clear. You know who your target audience is, and you deliver very, very good content. And it's very natural.
I
Right?
appreciate
You're not
that.
trying to sell stuff, snake oil. So
Well, I did that for years,
Yeah.
and it didn't turn out well for me.
Yeah.
It's interesting. My father was a commercial real estate broker in
Okay.
Houston, Texas, and his
Oh,
partner was
okay.
Mac Hike.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my dad left Ohio as a compulsive gambler and came to Houston because there was no gambling in the 70s, divorced my mom, got married to that young gal from Texas. And but that's what he did. He partnered with Mac Hike. And
Okay.
so I watched from afar Houston commercial real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And, most people don't know this about me or maybe wouldn't understand this, but one of the people that I study is Joel Osteen.
Okay.
And I've been blessed to meet him because if you watch him, when you talk about frequency, and I can't tell you whether which one of these two powerful messages, but it's one of the strongest signal
Yeah.
of a speaker, right? I can't tell. He's so good at it. I don't know if he's on this side of it or this side of it, but he has that strong conviction.
Mm-hmm.
He knows his spectrum, and he's one of the most polished. Talk about clear.
Mm-hmm.
I really emulate the clearness of the examples that he gives.
Right.
And I really try to take the good messages that he
100%.
has.
Yeah, I agree.
Whether you like him or not, I'm always looking, whether it's our president, whether it's Joel Osteen or other people that, you can find fault in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always looking, no matter who they are, I'm looking for the light, the lessons, and the love in them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's changed my life. And I know in this game, putting your content out there, people don't understand all the time. Like, oh my God, you said something positive about this guy. Yeah, because not everybody's bad. I'm looking to unify people, not separate us. And whether or not I vote for them or don't vote for them doesn't mean anybody's as good as they say they are or as bad as they say they are. You're somewhere in between. I like to focus in on, because I believe if I focus on the greatest qualities of Angelo Christian, right? If I focus in on that, I'm going to get more of that.
Right.
And we all need to learn that lesson. And I know it's applicable in real estate because, as a piece of advice for someone who's done a lot of real estate, those people in real estate that teach you to look at the light, the love, and the lessons in a property,
Right.
That can clearly
What it can be, yeah.
what it can be. And
Yeah.
now they've made a fortune on TV shows,
Yeah.
which are literally exactly that TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who can prove what this can be.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And that's what makes it so exciting is like you get to watch the true nature of creativity appear, but also with a quantitative value, with the numbers at the end, this much to purchase it, this much to improve it, and we sold it for this much. Well, what was that delta in there? That was creativity. That's what created that margin of profit is creativity. And you can do that. And this is why I love real estate. It's the straight math businesses that I love, but you're monetizing creativity. Right? Don't you think that's what you do in real estate? You monetize creativity?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, provided that the numbers make sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Always.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I agree with you. And so, no, that's really awesome. I think you're right. A lot of people, they always look for what's wrong, and what's wrong is always available.
Yeah.
And
The
focusing.
need to be offended is always there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I think that's a very good point. So yeah.
Awesome. Was there anything else from your space to mine and the continuum between that, listening to me, following, I'm always curious, that either has impacted you or you were curious to get a little bit more clarity on?
Yeah, I do. So what are your core beliefs?
Great. So I believe, first of all, that we need to change our beliefs every day. They can just be minor alterations or pivots, but those core beliefs are based off of today's personal values of what my integrity, my character, my love, what those personal values for the day are, my experiential values. What do I want to experience out of this day? My giving values. What legacy do I want to leave from today? What do I want to give to others and provide a value to others? And then also, what are my receiving values to allow things to go through me for others? And from that, I have 4 key pillars.
Okay.
And this is the lens that I look at life through. Number 1, gratitude. I think it's the most powerful value of all, that I am grateful for everything. And if I'm not grateful for it, if I feel anger, frustration, loneliness, separation, inferiority, superiority, resentment, offense, I take a step back and I find the light in it. I find how I can be grateful for that. And the way that you become grateful is to learn from it. So gratitude to me is the lens of everything, that I learn to be grateful for everything. 2, forgiveness. Forgiveness allows me to be me, because it allows me to try things and make huge mistakes. To go ahead and be what I can be by testing and trying and utilizing and then forgiving myself when, I'm less than perfect. And so forgiveness is a key value of mine. And the other thing about forgiveness is because I'm forgiving myself for the lessons that I've learned, the mistakes that I've made, it's easier for me to be less critical of others, right? I can only give what I have. So if I have forgiveness, I can give forgiveness to others instead of looking for the faults and the mistakes and penalizing and punishing you because, you screwed up my mortgage, I forgive and I live in peace. The third is really important every day to me is accountability. I think it's a key component or a cornerstone to everything that I see and do, that I take complete control of my existence by asking myself, what did I do to attract this to myself? And more importantly, what am I supposed to learn from it? I decipher between liability, responsibility, and accountability. Liability and responsibility are utilized in the legal terms, of our real estate agreements and DMV laws and, our family functions with the regulations, rules, et cetera. Those are fine. And we all agree through social contract to live within the guise of responsibility and liability. But a bigger picture for me, even if somebody was, speeding behind me, texting and ran into the back of me, they're liable, they're responsible, I'm accountable. I'm still going to ask myself, even after I, get my insurance money to fix my car, I'm going to ask myself, what did I do to attract that into my life, and what am I supposed to learn from it? And then the most critical value that I have is shifting the paradigm of understanding motivation versus inspiration. I used to believe I was, number one, was a motivator, but also that I was extremely motivated. Motivation can come from fear. Fear allows us to focus. Mostly motivation is a temporary state of understanding that I'm more focused now than I was. Therefore, I'm encouraged or motivated to do that. Inspiration is entirely different. Inspiration is a lifetime value for me. Inspiration to me says I'm always connected to the greatest source of power, light, lessons, and love. I'm always connected. And my job is to clear that connection. Less interference, less corrosion, less ego involved. So the analogy that I give is, imagine every day that you start out with 200 pounds of baggage on you, right? That's the ego baggage, the past, you got your emotions and the days in front of you. Well, some people, right, they work on really hard and they work hard, but they allow their ego to add more weight all day long, and they end up at the end of the day barely being able to walk, right? Because they have 400 pounds on it. Well, I start with 200 pounds on my back. My goal is to get all of the weight off of me, not worry about how fast I'm walking, because I know in the end, if I can get rid of 200 pounds on my back, doesn't matter how fast you are, I'm going to walk you, right? Because I'm focused on clearing the connection. I already know I have the power in the source.
How do you do that, Dave? How's that possible?
So for me, it's meditation at the beginning of the day. That's finding the highest frequency or a baseline for that I'm going to live at. So I believe if my days are to expand and improve, then I have a higher frequency to do that. And then all the times to identify with awareness when I'm in ego-based consciousness, having this need to be offended, right, separate, inferior, superior, separate, etc. And so when I feel myself going in the wrong trajectory, creating resistance, void, shortages, and obstacles, I go ahead and stop, put myself back, and try to get back up to that higher frequency. And so it becomes a mathematical practice for me. I practice inspiration. I practice ending fear. Everything to me is the enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential.
Wow. That's that. Obviously, you weren't born like that, and you had to learn that.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. Yeah, that you strive for that every day. That's I haven't had anyone say it like that before. So, wow.
Yeah. So that's what we do. I know, just as a final question, because I really want to know what's next, right? So you have achieved this, to me, unbelievable journey, successful in your financial practice, successful in your health practice, which is most important. You're one of the more healthy people I've seen in my interview, which is great, right?
Okay, thank you.
But, for you, a lot of people want to know, so you've achieved all of this. You're so successful. Where are you going next?
Yeah, so for me, I want to keep growing on scaling the company. We did a little over $100 million in revenue last year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I want to take it to $1 billion company. My vision is to
over.
Take the company
Use the word over.
Over $1 billion. Over $1 billion.
Don't limit yourself. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's over $1 billion in revenue, and then take the company public, and then pass that wealth on to the shareholders, the team, and help other people along with me to give wealth and value to them. That's what it's all about. In our company, we focus with real estate investors, whether they're doing $1 billion deal, $100 million deal, to add more value, get them the best debt, the best equity in the marketplace. And our team that's involved with us to transform. A lot of the people that are on our team, they came to us fresh out of school. We've helped them to double, triple their income, give them great careers, give them stock in the company so they can have a great life. So I think if I can help my customer, my team member, and my family, I'm very focused right now on helping my family. And we also have Angelo Christian Foundation where we help children, no child left behind. We take a portion of the company's revenue, we give that back, help them for go to school with books, food, shelter, stuff like that. So you'll see a lot of that stuff on our show where we're giving back. We're at a point now, like, since I'm stabilized and now we're going to help the rest of the team get stabilized, now it's time to give back to the community. And that's what that foundation's about. So I think that's Maslow's hierarchy. That's a huge thing. And where we're at right now is continue to scale, add more value to our investors, and then take the company public, and then give that wealth back to the team. So that's the next chapter for me.
That's amazing. Well, I think you are teaching a great lesson, that you cannot help others till you help yourself. That law of stabilization. And I had to learn that, right? Taking care of myself so I could take care of others. It's been an incredible journey. I look forward to working with you more
absolutely.
And learning more. You got to check out Angelo Christian, financial Angelo Christian himself. He is the epitome of empowering others to empower others.
Thank you.
To create that scale. And I certainly appreciate it. This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, The Playbook.